that Naila has to drive back to Canberra this evening. So I was going to start off the crowd with a question, but I don't want to take up too much time. Do we have a first question from the crowd? I mean, I can ask one if you want.
Yeah.
Start us off. Now, Lorraine, I'm a great believer in the role of education to solve so many of this world's problems. But, I mean, Naila, we were talking about the problem of domestic violence here in Australia, and 1 in 2 women in Australia will experience some form of domestic violence in their lives. And we have a highly educated population, so obviously education is not the be-all and end-all. What role can organisations such as the Peshawar School for Peace play in not only educating people in a formal manner, but in changing social norms in order to empower women and generate a greater level of normalcy around women's equality?
Do I use this or that?
I think I should be able to pick you up.
You should get. Well, thank you, Marike, for this question. It is a very complicated question because there is no simple solution to these problems. As we were talking before also, before we came to the podium, domestic violence, in my view, at this moment, as I told you, I'm working on a painting project on domestic violence as well. Human relationships are very complicated. And education, yes, it's very important. Empowerment, economic empowerment is also very important. But like you said, for example, in Australia, how do you justify it? It is an attitudinal thing. I think it has more to do with due respect to all the men here, and I don't want my husband to get any ideas, that domestic violence is betrayal of love. It's a betrayal of trust. And it is, I think, more of male insecurity. Nowadays, when you have more women who are more active, more empowered, it threatens the male ego. And when he cannot intellectually debate, he uses his physical power to subjugate. But if you take case to case, you would find different reasons for such atrocity. I think earlier on, like you said, education, poverty, lack of empowerment are reasons that create that environment. But back home, we are looking at it and we realize that we have to not only empower women, but create an empowering environment where both genders realize their roles and learn to respect each other. Domestic violence can be abusive parent also, but generally it is in the marital relationship that you have more cases, more incidences of violations. So I think we have to develop a holistic approach towards it. I don't think any one factor can create that facility, but Peshawar School, it's a good initiative, particularly when it comes to interfaith harmony and for people to understand each other better. But when it comes to domestic violence, I think that has to be at a more intense level where the whole society involves itself. Thank you.
I'll just quickly add, I think you said it all really, Marike, and now Naila has as well. Addressing domestic violence is about societal change. It is actually about resetting the compass on the power imbalance that exists between genders, whether it's in Pakistan or France or Australia. And whether that's power is physical or whether that's economic, I think that's what needs to change. We know well about the feminization of poverty both in Pakistan and in Australia. We know about the culture of sexism both in Pakistan and in Australia. And to be able to deal with this and address that, you're absolutely right, Naila. It's not one thing or the other. But I think what the initiatives like the Peshawar School do by empowering women and educating women is about women knowing what their rights are as well and standing up for themselves. And it's going to take a long time. Social change does take a long time. We have to be persistent, we have to be patient, and we have to be resilient. But most of all, we have to stand up against it every time it happens and call it out.
Yeah, thank you. Great answer.